Chloe has also started to get touchier with my husband. She's put her hands on his chest and arms, stands or sits really close to him. If she spots my husband out of the office, she quickly goes to inform Chloe.
You see what I see, don't you? Like, bruh, are we both gonna pretend that your sister-in-law is not trying to put Chloe onto you? In our damn house while I'm pregnant, the disrespect. I think my sister-in-law's best friend is trying to get with my husband and she's encouraging it. Am I delusional? Is this the one you're talking about? Which tags does this one got? Oh, it's a banana. It's medium length. We got time for a banana. How's you guys' appetite for a banana? You guys got room for a banana? You love bananas? Say less.
I think my Sill's best friend is trying to get with my husband and she's encouraging it. Am I delusional?
Let's find out. My sister-in-law, 23 female, is my husband's 28 male's half-sister. Oh, she's only the half-sister. She was a product of their mother's infidelity?
My Sill 23F is my husband's 28M half-sister. She was the product of their mother's infidelity. His father divorced their mother when he was 12 after he found out through a paternity test she wasn't his. My Phil refused to have anything to do with my Sill but continued to have a relationship with my husband. Because of this, my Sill is very clingy to my husband. My husband is also very protective of his sister and generally doesn't tolerate anything negative being said about her, which is why I'm posting this here before mentioning anything to him. My husband and I bought a house last year which has its own indoor swimming pool. My Sil was super excited when she saw it and asked if she could use it sometimes with her friend. We said it was fine, as long as she gave us a notice before she turned up. Her and her friend Chloe have used it many times before, but almost never when my husband is home. He is a lawyer and works long hours. With lockdown, my husband has started to work from home. My Sil asked me if she and Chloe could come over and use the pool. I told her I was uncomfortable with them coming over as I'm pregnant and don't want to accidentally expose the baby to anything risky. My Sil then asked if she and Chloe quarantined for 2 weeks, would they be able to come over? My husband said it was fine. 2 weeks later, they turned up to my house. My husband was in his office, so they go straight to the pool after making small talk. My husband ends up coming out after an hour, and we're hanging out in the kitchen. My Sil walks in to get a drink, and she starts talking to my husband. Before she goes back to the pool, she says, Chloe's going to be so happy to see you. It was weird, because my husband and Chloe aren't close.
Yeah, why the fuck would Chloe be happy to see him? Who is this Chloe?
Chloe comes into the kitchen 2 minutes later and spends the rest of her time talking to my husband until he excuses himself to get back to work. She's super giggly and smiley when she talks to him. He would say something sarcastic and she would laugh like it was the funniest joke she's ever heard.
How y'all hanging in there in the comments? I know some of y'all just got hit with some PTSD. I know y'all know what the hell's going on. Giggly, super friend. Oh my god, anywhere he breathes a certain way. And let me guess, touchy? If she's crossing that touch barrier,
you gon' die.
It's the last time you gonna be swimming, girl. She on that shakaterous.
It honestly felt like she was flirting with him. Before she went back to the pool.
That's exactly what she was doing, girl.
Before she went back to the pool, she gave me this weird smirky look. Before they leave, they ask my husband if he's working from home every day of the week. He confirms he is.
Every girl knows what the fuck is going on right now. You guys know what's going on here? You can confirm, was she flirting or is she being delusional? We know.
The next 2 weeks, they come over to the house to swim every single day, except Chloe never gets in the water. Instead, she hangs around the house in her bikini. She was previously wearing a one-piece, if it makes a difference, every single day. Whenever my husband comes out to hang around me, she quickly interrupts him and keeps him talking until he has to go back to work. I made lunch for us all, and when I excused myself to calm my husband down, my Sil quickly stopped me and said Chloe could call him for me. They shared a look, and Chloe looked really happy when she went to get him.
This is where the Sil comes in, the sister-in-law comes in. My Sil quickly stopped me and said, no, Chloe will call him for you. Now you're in on this now, girl. And the fact that she said, Chloe will be so happy to see you. That was the first hint that you're involved in this chicanery, and now this is the second hint.
Chloe has also started to get touchier with my husband. She's put her hands on his chest and arms, stands or sits really close to him. To my husband's credit, he does usually create space between them whenever she does something like this. The reason I believe my Sil is in on this is because she's made a few pregnancy-related jabs at me recently. She told me a story about how one of her friend's boyfriends was cheating on her, and then said something along the lines of, did you know a lot of men start cheating when their wives are pregnant? She's also made comments about how I look chubby now, and it looks weird next to my husband because he's well-built.
Nah, yo, hold my poodle. Hold my poodle.
If she spots my husband out of the office, she quickly goes to inform Chloe.
This is some crazy ass chicanery. And the weird position that this woman is in is that she knows that her husband is protective of this sister-in-law, the Sill that we're speaking of. So it's like, you see what I see, don't you, hubby? Like, bruh, are we both gonna pretend that your sister-in-law is not fucking trying to put Chloe onto you? In our damn house while I'm pregnant, the fucking disrespect. She's not even there to swim. She just walking around in her damn bikini. Like, bitch, test the water. It feels great. Spartan kick her ass straight into that pool. Blatant disrespect. That's what I'm talking about. And both of them. And the husband you gotta see what's going on. I'm about to call it out. You're about to be dealing with a very pregnant, angry wife.
I know pregnancy hormones can mess with a person's brain, so I'm wondering if I'm just looking for something that isn't there.
Pregnant or not, chicanery's afoot, my dear. Those hormones have nothing to do with your perception of the situation. You seem perfectly fine.
My sales sent me a text yesterday asking if they could come over to swim next week, and I really want to say no, but I know she'll whine to my husband if I do. I ideally want to have a conversation with him before then, but I'm not sure if I should mention the flirting.
Yes, you should mention the flirting.
Am I being delusional?
No, we all see it. Any woman who's dealt with some shakaterous ass chick that's trying to get at her man, you know exactly what's going on. We all know. And her husband, come on, bro. You don't see it? That's disrespectful to your wife to even allow some chick that's friends with your sister. We could be cordial and friendly, but you don't get touchy with me. Otherwise, you're gonna have to deal with my wife, and she's gonna drown your ass, fool. He must like it if he doesn't tell his sister they're overstepping boundaries, or he's fucking super naive and completely oblivious. I don't know any history about this guy. Was he sheltered? He don't know what the fuck's going on?
Update. Well, I read and reread all of the comments on the original post to try and figure out how I was going to bring up the issue. Turns out I didn't have to. We were watching a movie, and my phone lit up with another text from my sil telling me she was now going to be here at 1 p.m. the next day to swim with Chloe. My husband saw it and told me to tell her not to come. This is really weird behavior from my husband because he tends to do anything to accommodate my sil and very rarely refuses her anything. I asked him if something had happened, and he shrugged it off and we kept watching the movie. A few minutes later, he paused the movie and said he wanted to ask me a question. He asked if I'd noticed Chloe never swam when she came to our house. I wish I could say I was calm and collected like the comments were advising, but I ended up laughing hysterically. I was honestly just so relieved he'd brought it up, instead of me having to be the one to do it.
W husband. Okay, we don't gotta drown your ass either. Good on you, brother. Well done. You know, if you didn't bring it up and that bitch came over tomorrow 1:30, at 2:30, you, her, and yourself was gonna be floating in that damn pool upside down, you bastards. Good on you, brother. Holy shit, he's not... I was a little nervous for him after these last few stories we've been fucking. I'm like, man, please, don't be a fucking dumbass.
I think my husband thought I was losing my mind. When I finally stopped laughing, he repeated the question and said he wanted a serious answer. I said, "Of course I've noticed," and he awkwardly replied, "So, you must have noticed the other thing too." To summarize the conversation that followed, my husband hadn't noticed Chloe was flirting with him the first few days because he was so busy with work, he wasn't really paying attention to anything else. He said when she started getting handsy is when he suddenly had the light bulb moment that she was into him.
Some of these, we just slow. We just a slow species, you know, but it took the physical touch to... Wait a minute here.
Who are you?
Insert the meme. You know, some of us, man, we just slow.
He says he didn't want to unnecessarily stress me out, so he never mentioned anything, but he was worried I'd noticed too and thought he was interested because he hadn't immediately shut it down. He realized we would eventually have to have this talk, but he wasn't sure how to bring it up. Oh, the irony. He did privately speak to Chloe and told her he was happily married and wasn't interested in starting anything with anyone else. Apparently, she never took him seriously because she kept doing it.
So you even told the hoe, I ain't interested, I'm happily married, like point blank period, like fucking as blatantly direct as you could be. I'm married, girl. I see what you're doing. She didn't take him seriously? Okay, now you're disrespecting me on top of my wife. I'm drawing some boundaries. You still gonna overstep them? Alright, now you're done. Good on the husband to shutting down that pool visit.
In the end, he called his sister on Sunday to tell her either she got her to stop or Chloe couldn't come over anymore. His sister ended up having a tantrum and said a few nasty things about me, the baby, our relationship. She insisted I was somehow behind his request and made some comments about how I was controlling and insecure because I looked like a beach whale and Chloe was younger and hotter. He was pretty pissed at this and said if she said something like that about me again, he would stop speaking to her. She claimed I had baby trapped him, and when my husband pointed out we were already married, so I didn't need to trap him, and that he was the one who wanted to start a family, she kept insisting I had manipulated him into feeling that way. She claimed he was unhappy in our relationship, and he always looked tired because I was forcing him to slave away to fund my fancy lifestyle whilst I sat on my ass all day.
Man, that sister-in-law, she got some trauma to work out. It all stems from, she got to go talk to a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist, a Buddhist, a motherfucking guru of some sort. We need to get Sadhguru on the job. Somebody call Jay Shetty. Somebody call Deepak Chopra. Let's get motherfucking Esther Perel. Can we get your assistance over here?
He pointed out he chose to be a lawyer knowing he would have to work long hours, and I had only recently left my job, so her accusations were baseless.
And he's a lawyer, so he come in with the arguments, evidence. Your accusations are baseless. There's no merit to any of these allegations you're accusing my wife of. Therefore, Your Honor, I feel as though this case should be dismissed. I rest my case.
She said some other stuff along the same lines, but the thing that made my husband finally snap was when she said the baby was already ruining everything, and it was just going to get worse when it was born, and he should have dragged me to the abortion clinic whilst he had the chance. He told her neither her nor Chloe were welcome in our home anymore until they apologized for how they'd been behaving and for the things my Sil said. He said he wasn't sure he could ever forgive or forget what she'd said about our child, even if she did apologize, and he couldn't believe she would even think something like that, let alone say it.
I mean, you know better than anybody where that's stemming from, bro. So you need to direct her to some professional help.
Apparently, she started crying and said she was sorry, that she didn't mean it, and she was just scared to lose him, and that she wasn't thinking clearly. He hung up on her. He showed me his phone, and she's been calling him and texting him since, begging him to reply. He asked if she'd said anything to me. I was debating whether to say anything or not, but he kept insisting he knew she had said something, and he wanted to know what it was. I told him the things I mentioned in the original post and a few other things she had said. He asked me why I never mentioned anything when she first said it, and I mentioned how he got really defensive whenever I said anything even slightly negative about his sister, and he got defensive. I pointed out he was doing it again, and after some back and forth he admitted that maybe he was a little bit defensive when it came to her, but he promised to stop and he wanted to make sure we could talk about anything, including his sister. He ended up mentioning wanting to try couples counseling. He said it wasn't because he thought there was something wrong with our relationship, but apparently he has been speaking to his dad a lot recently, and he mentioned one thing he regretted about his marriage with Mill,
mother-in-law,
is that they never went to therapy until the cracks in their relationship were too big. In his current marriage they go, and it's helped him avoid the mistakes of his first marriage. I agreed, so we're probably going to try that soon. My husband thinks my Sil will eventually turn up even if we tell her not to, but he promised he'd deal with her if she does. So, Reddit, I guess you were right. I really did just need to speak to him. Thanks for the advice and comments. I enjoyed reading them all.
Good on that husband, bro. You know, at first when she acknowledged the problem with the communication that was happening, I tried, but every time I bring up anything about your sister, you get defensive. And then he got defensive. See, you're doing it again. Oh, maybe you're right. You know, taking accountability. It's like, okay, you know what? Let's, you're pointing out some things to me that I was oblivious towards. Let's do some counseling. I heard it was a good preventative measure to help solidify this foundation before any cracks form. I got hope for these two. They seem like they got good conflict resolution abilities here. And you got to realize too that the sister-in-law, her father wants nothing to do with her because she was the product of her mother cheating on his father or her father. So she got some abandonment issues. I'm not a psychologist. I can't diagnose her. Oh, look at you. Maybe I am a psychologist. Maybe I spoke too soon. But man, she got some issues. So it's like sometimes you got to have a little bit of like grace for them. I mean, you're not going to tolerate the bullshit, but also understand where it's coming from. So you're not you can keep them at a distance, but also be able to direct them while you're being kept at distance. This is what you should be doing. You need to be talking to somebody about these things that are going on that are causing these types of feelings in you towards me and my situation that you should be happy for. Like the things that you're saying about about my kid and my wife is totally unacceptable. If you want any sort of relationship with me as your brother, you got to go get it addressed. That's my 2 cents. But what do I know? Good on this couple though for the communication, A1. You know, and good on him for not being a dumbass and not getting himself drowned in the fucking pool, you know?